childhood. That is what many parents wish their kids could have had. It is what most think now is an impossible dream. But it is the aim of a group of parents led by Esther Jai, the mother of Brianna, who was murdered so tragically. We may hear from her in more detail next week. We heard, though, from a group of parents on this subject yesterday. This morning it's the turn of teenagers. I've been speaking to Holly, age 15, Izzy, 17, and Ruby, who's 18, and told me about the arguments she had when she wanted to get her first phone.
I had to have a bit of an argument. I think I was about 13 when I started high school, so I would have got my phone about then. But there was a few arguments before that because my friends all had one before me. So.
And what were your parents saying then?
I didn't really. They were like, you don't really need one. More like you didn't need your phone. You can still read your book and stuff like that. So it was just they thought I was too young to have it.
And did you at the time think, no, I've got to have one?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. All my friends had one. I wanted one. I wanted to be part of the in crowd, if that makes sense.
Holly, you got your phone a bit earlier. Were your parents relaxed, or did they set some limits on how you used your phone?
They were kind of the one that said I could have it in the first place, and it was completely fine with it all because it wasn't really for anything else other than contact at that time. So
it wasn't then, but did it change after you got it?
I think I was on it a lot, so it a bit concerning for them, I suppose, because it kind of became about my phone and not so much about talking to them. So in that way, this did start setting family locks on it after so much time spent on it.
When you say so much time, do you remember when you first got it? How much time were you spending on your phone?
Probably about I think I remember seeing about 6 hours a day. It was quite a lot of time on it.
6 hours? Not talking to people, but looking at your screen?
Yeah.
Did you forget how to talk?
I mean, in a way, it definitely didn't help because of the whole lockdown process because everything was on your phone then. So I just was on my phone talking to everyone, so that I didn't think there was a need to go and socialise with people outside of being on my phone.
How about you, Izzy? Did you have any limits on how long you spent? Were you anywhere close to that 6 hours?
Oh, absolutely. I had restrictions imposed on my mobile even up until a couple of months ago, I think, which at age of 17 is a subject of interest amongst me and my peers because I'd have downtime on my phone, so I'd have to come off all my apps by a certain time each night and at restrictions, so I couldn't spend more than an hour on TikTok or an hour on Instagram or such like.
And that's a code when you say it was a subject of interest. Did they think your parents were being unfair?
I think it could be perceived that way. I think they thought my parents were perhaps more strict, but I think in the long run it has benefited me more because I'm able to shut everything off quite abruptly, not too late in the night, and then get enough sleep. So I think it has actually helped me.
And is there anything you do to protect yourself?
Self-control, does that count?
Oh, it counts if you can. It counts if you can do it. I suppose you can turn off apps, can't you? Or you can delete them.
Yeah, so you can put your own app restrictions on the app, which will be your code, your passcode that you create. But I don't know anyone that would do that to themselves because I certainly haven't, which I probably should. But
what about the content of what you're seeing, Ruby? Not just the time you're spending on it. Do you now look back and think, I saw some things I really wish I hadn't?
Yeah, kind of. So, I remember in high school, I was with my friends one day and we were just kind of on, I think it was Instagram or TikTok at the time, can't remember which one, but we'd see car crashes and stuff like that. And they were quite gruesome for the age of 14-year-olds to see. But then we also saw some just funny videos as well. So there was some good ones, but there was a lot of ones we didn't want to see.
How about you, Holly? Because it's not just the images, is it? It's the sort of gossip, the fake news, all the rest.
Yeah, definitely. It's quite concerning to look at sometimes because, especially when it's people like spreading it as well, like maybe in school and whatever, that's really just not true. It's kind of like concerning because you can't do anything about it when it starts to spread out a lot more.
Because in my day, it was a quick word in somebody's ear in the playground, maybe it spread to a few of you. Now, it's the whole school very quickly, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
How about you, Izzy? You come across anything you didn't like?
Yes, yeah, I think particularly in regards to Instagram, as we've just said, I think they've got Instagram Reels, which is a kind of a version of TikTok, but for some reason the content you see on there is so much more gruesome, so much more gory. Like we said, there've been car crashes, like injuries in the gym, like you see legs like breaking. It is horrid, and I wouldn't want anyone under the age of like 16. I couldn't imagine my youngest sister, for example, opening the app and seeing these things. And they say there's an app restriction for a reason, but I don't think 13-year-olds should be seeing any of that content. I don't think anyone should, because it's really, really quite disgusting.
I wonder what you think of the idea coming from Esther Jai, the mum of Brianna, of course, who's called for kids to have a smartphone-free childhood. Ruby?
I don't really know how I think when I was 13 up to 16, I wanted a phone. Like everyone had one. I think we should, instead of having an age limit on what you, or like not having the phone, I think there should be more like have your parents, like mine restricted me from using Snapchat until the age, I think I was maybe 14 or something like that. So they controlled that because my mum checked my phone like every night to see if I had it, if I downloaded it without them knowing. So I think it's more, instead of having the ban, because that'll just cause people to want it more, to have more restrictions, if that makes sense.
That's quite something, though. Cause arguments, potentially, wouldn't it, Izzy, I guess?
Yeah, I suppose so. I think it's just the fear of missing out that everyone had. Like if one person had a mobile phone, more people would want them. But I think if nobody had one, everyone would just find an alternative method of communication, which would definitely push forward that idea of mindfulness that we've been talking about.
Holly, you're the one who said you'd had 6 hours on your phone a day. Do you wish, in a way, that someone had stopped you? Or do you think, actually, it was a great way of communicating with friends, a great way of communicating with the outside world?
I think I would have definitely liked to cut down, especially because I was quite young, so I didn't really know what I was doing as such on that phone at that point. It was more playing games on it and everything. It wasn't really communicating with people as such. So I think that I should have definitely just tried to limit myself, or tried to even just take breaks, even if it was just 6 hours still. At least it wouldn't have been 6 hours straight.
It's a lot to ask.